President of the rebel Soviet Republic of Lithuania has said tonight that the Kremlin's economic sanctions will only strengthen his people's resolve for independence. He said he hoped the actions would help consolidate the Lithuanian people in peaceful struggle. The future is on our side, he said. Well, Lithuanian officials said they were told by Soviet authorities that reductions in natural gas were to be made today, and there are rumors that petrol and oil will be cut tomorrow. Lithuania is dependent on the Soviet Union for these supplies. President Landsbergis said he hoped other countries would provide help and contribute essential resources. Well, joining us now is Algis Kalukas, Secretary of the Lithuania Association based in London. Mr. Kalukas, good evening.
Good evening.
Now, are you heartened, first of all, by President Bush's announcement in Washington this afternoon that Washington will take some measures against the Soviet Union if they carry out these threats?
It certainly is one of the most supporting statements that have emerged from Washington since the crisis started taking shape. Obviously, we would urge stronger condemnation of the sort of intimidation that has been going on, and also because of the President Bush actually said that he was disappointed that they might be using methods that against what the West had been urging. In fact, it is against also what they told the West. Douglas Hurd was in Moscow recently and was assured that sanctions wouldn't be used. So the response still, from our point of view, could be stronger, but it is a start, it seems.
Now, it would be fair to say that Lithuania is virtually at the mercy of Moscow, isn't it, with these vital fuel supplies?
Well, certainly in terms of oil and gas, obviously Lithuania gets all its oil and gas from the Soviet Union, but the same could be said of Czechoslovakia. Lithuania, in terms of agricultural produce, could survive, certainly in terms of food, indefinitely.
But surely we would see a collapse of industry in Lithuania. We would see people not being able to work, people not being able to eat. Doesn't Lithuania depend very heavily on natural gas?
Well, it certainly does, but from the Lithuanian point of view, we really don't think that economic blockade will in fact be will go through, simply because it would be like shooting yourself in the foot. Because of the occupation that Lithuania has been under for the last 50 years, the economy has been sort of artificially tied together in the web of the Soviet Union, and so it would be very, very difficult for the Soviets to impose an effective blockade on Lithuania for any particular resource. For instance, the Kaliningrad region and parts of Belarus are supplied by the same pipelines as is Lithuania, so it's difficult to imagine how that would work in reality.
So what do you see these Gorbachev tactics having? No effect at all, or?
Well, this question should be asked: why is the Kremlin doing this? And really, there are two possibilities. First of all, it could be that it's part of this psychological warfare that Moscow has been waging against Lithuania since March the 11th. Secondly, it could be, and this is the worst possible scenario, the worst case scenario, could be that they are going to blockade, and they are going to accept the consequences, even if the Kaliningrad region was affected, in order to try and stir up trouble with the Russian ethnic minority to form a pretext for military intervention. That's the most worrying possibility. Now,
President Landsbergis has said that he has been receiving offers of help from other areas outside Lithuania. But within the Soviet Union. Obviously that would be the other two Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia.
Well, not just that. Obviously, Lithuanian independence has a lot of supporters in all the republics of the Soviet Union. There are over 100 nationalities in the Soviet Union, and in fact the Russians themselves, Moscow City Council, have sent letters of support to the Lithuanian government, and there are a lot of Russians in the Russian opposition movements that understand the Lithuanian case, and so it's not a purely nationalist thing.
Now, very briefly, Mr. Kalukas, as far as you're concerned, Lithuania is independent. It's going to stay that way, come what may.
Absolutely.
Algis Kalukas of the Lithuania Association. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.